Technology Tuesdays. Hello, welcome to the Froggy Five. I'm your host, Jim Freilich, founder and managing partner, Froggy Companies. And I'm here today with the man, the myth, the legend, John Azar. So John, I'm going to shift on you a little bit here and ask you about something not people. And that is, because you said you're a student of real estate, you're always growing and thinking. So one area that I want to ask you about from your perspective, you see pretty broadly across the world of real estate. What do you think about the latest technologies, and are you leveraging any? And what do you see in terms of changes in the industry? And give me any real specifics that you can too, because I know AI always comes up, but like anything you think of specifically that.
I think our industry is way overdue for a technological update. I mean, what we've been going through for the past 10 plus years has been certainly, seismic shifting from because real estate historically have always been a old fashioned, somewhat of a, I hate to say it, stodgy industry. It's not, they're late adapters to technology, late adapters to, changes in implementation of tech tools. And that's been shifting in the past few years. And that's great. Because that is important, because technology will empower real estate owners, operators, companies into doing more and becoming more efficient, more productive, with less manpower and less time, not just manpower, but time. The technology that started being implemented and have transformed the real estate industry from a timing perspective. And that's a huge plus for me. I mean, the way I look at and we implement obviously technology in various ways. And you have technological tools to, you have databases for research on markets. You have a CRM database to manage your contacts. You have, you have a database to manage your marketing maybe, or something like that. Now you're adding, in the past couple of years, you started adding AI tools that will help you maybe craft, outbound marketing or outbound reach outs and all of these things are great. Obviously you still have to have oversight to some extent. And, you're not gonna just, hand over your business to Terminator and have them, have them run the course. But at the same time, implementing and augmenting those tools will save company a ton of time and a ton of resources. Sometimes it may not be necessarily about just human capital, but it will allow you to shift people in areas where they are needed more, as opposed to concentrating their attention to something that's more mundane that does not need to be handled by, expending man hours onto. A perfect example is something, like tools that you can use for possibly management, or maybe even newsletters, sending out newsletters or something like that. If that's your job within the company, I mean, if you use the right tools these days, you can cut your time in less than half from what you used to spend on that a couple of years ago. If you're using, AI tools to, do admin work, that will also kind of save money and time and will allow you to kind of shift human power into other more needed areas in your company. Not necessarily to reduce your headcount, but it can, if that's what you want it to do, it can reduce your headcount. But if you don't want to reduce the headcount, it can also allow you to kind of reshift and reallocate where the most important aspect of human capital is needed. And that's on the sort of the things that an AI can't do. AI can't assess, relationships, can't build the relationships, can't really look at a couple of different spreadsheets and tell you, well, I don't know, the expenses on that is kind of high. I'm not used to seeing that. So it's not going to replace humans. It's just going to be an amazing augmentation to what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good point about the shifting of resources too. Like you said, not necessarily replacing, but it's not just cut your overhead. Hey, let me come in and help you cut people, that kind of view. It's not necessarily, it's like are you trying to expand? Are you trying to grow in another area? Or do you just want to more efficiently utilize sort of everything you're doing here? As you just said, it's like using technical tools doesn't have to be, you're just trying to replace people in the very
Yeah.
cold
Oh,
way.
absolutely. I mean, listen, we use an AI tool for for our properties to take inbound calls and return calls for possible renters. When they call
Mhm.
in, and it's on 24/7. It doesn't matter when they call in. So if it allows you the ability to also sort of be more efficient and capture more business without having the need of a human capital being there. So, and that, that implementing that AI tool, for instance, allowed us to pretty much have 24/7 concierge service for any possible
Yeah,
renters that would be
that's
calling in. And not only does it do that, but it also allows renters to, it'll send them a text message, it'll send them an application, and they can apply online. So, I mean, that whole process would have taken an extra 2 to 3 days, maybe even more, if there was a human factor involved.
I think people are getting a lot more efficient on the property management side and the leasing side, the virtual leasing. I think that's where we're seeing
100%.
the biggest side, the transactional side with title and stuff, other than like property and stuff. There's a few states where people are starting to make it more efficient. That's way tougher side when you're dealing with deeds and stuff is
It
lagging behind
is.
a
It
ton.
is. But again, I mean, these are the areas that I just mentioned a little bit ago, where you don't want to give it up to an AI tool. You do want it to be handled by human
Humans.
capital, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
legal work, for instance, you
Yeah.
probably don't want your legal work to be handled by AI tool. You do want a lawyer to handle your legal work.
Let me ask you something personal related to technology, get a little more personal, and then I'll switch over to my next subject. But the in your daily life, time management's always been one of my challenges. Constantly recreating, relearning, remembering how I did it before when it worked. In sort of how you structure your day, and do you use any specific technology or techniques? Or if not, what do you how do you manage your incoming thing? Are you one of the guys like I? Certain times I don't pay attention to my phone. Like I won't take email on my phone. Most guys I work around are like crazy. Like you missed that. They just assume I saw it. But I know with the way my mind works, I can't. I'm working from a home office most of the time. I can't shut that off. How do you manage this in this world of that we didn't grow up in of like just information going back and forth?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head right there. I mean, part of what you were saying is I think intimating to the idea of time blocking, which is a great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an old school tool. That's not necessarily new. So,
Yeah.
time blocking is very efficient, where you dedicate a certain amount of time, and it doesn't have to be that long. I mean, for me, I sometimes dedicate even as little as 15 minutes to doing something like, I'm going to take the next 15 minutes, and you time it and you block it. You can even have, I mean, if you want to be really really efficient about it, you can have a timer next to your, which I used to do. I'm going to go back to that, actually, because I need to be a lot more efficient with my time right now and guarded, where you can have a timer that says in the next 15 minutes I'm not really going to be available for calls or emails or anything like that. I just really need to concentrate on looking at reports. The next 20 minutes is going to be concentrating on just returning emails. The next 30 minutes is going to be concentrating on maybe returning calls, or maybe looking at market data or something like that. But
Yeah.
because look, man, we are, just like you said, we live in an age where we have so many different things coming at us from a technology perspective. It's so easy to get distracted and not accomplish what you're setting out to do. And obviously, I start out my day with a task list every day. So,
Yeah.
and this is, and my task list is pretty mixed. It's not necessarily like, I could be more organized about it, but it's basically like the top 10 things I need to accomplish today. Um, within those 10 things that I need to accomplish today, I usually highlight the most pressing top 3 or 4 things that absolutely need to happen today.
Yeah.
And if I can't get to the other 5 or 6, then okay, I usually leave it open until the next day. So the next day I come in, my to-do list from the day before will pop up and say, well, you haven't finished these 3 items from yesterday. So those become the most important pressing items the next day. So for me to kind of knock them out. Um,
That's that's great. Now I don't feel I'm taking a side read, like I'm not missing some huge thing. Me and John Azar are both basically approaching every morning the same way with our top 10 list, 3 or 4 of which. So I have to be reminded from time to time because I'll spin out and go. And I use a Kanban board and online tools, as you know, because I've used Reich boards and Kanban when I use as an engineer. But it's easy to get off track. I've trained my son. We use tickets, for ourselves, so priorities. But at the end of the day, it's really just another form of a list. Your good old fashioned, here's your to-do list.
Absolutely.
And time blocking, and the time blocking, right? Just time blocking. So it's good to know that it's not all about technology.
I mean, I'm old school about it, man. I mean, I know there's probably a lot more, I'm probably maybe the wrong person to ask about like using some highly efficient tools to organize your day and stuff like that. And maybe there are a lot of, but this is my tool on a day-to-day basis. And
I love it.
For those of you who are not looking at video, I'm holding up a notebook that I handwrite in every day. So
that's awesome. So here we go, man. Here we go.
Yeah,
old
exactly.
School.
It's just an old practice from my trading days. I mean, that was one of my early mentors at Morgan Stanley. He was religious about documenting his day on his notebook, and not only about the top 10, but he's like, you need to make a note about every conversation, every aspect of what you're interacting, take notes on everything that you're doing, what you didn't do, what you didn't accomplish, and then go back and review them at the end of the day and say, oh crap, like I talked to this guy and I meant to actually mention this to him. Maybe I'll call him tomorrow and mention that to him. So, I don't know. To me, I mean, I guess you can do that on a computer or you can do it on a tablet.
Yeah, no, I think it's still, I think it's still pretty efficient. So I'm glad you gave me that nugget alongside the technology thing. I know they have, like, sometimes now I'm on meetings and AI people are joining, like the AI otter just pops up and they're getting pretty good at, because voice recognition is so much better. So like I had a meeting last week and the AI bot, sent me an email and it summarized the conversation really well, including the action items. Hey, thanks for having me on. If anybody else wants to find out more about what we're doing, please come to froggycompanies.com. Check out our 3 different business areas. We also have the Froggy Fund 1 that's now open for up to $18 million. We're going to be investing that $18 million across a diverse number of assets, cash flowing and ground up. And I'm really excited about this fund and really confident that we can outperform most of the other people out there in terms of what we invest in and how we do our due diligence and the type of partners we put together. So it's great talking to you, and see you next time.